Good afternoon. Welcome to the June 8th, 2022 City of Mesa Planning and Zoning Board public hearing. We're going to begin by taking a roll call of our board members. Chair Sarkisian is absent. Vice Chair Villanueva Salcedo is present. Board Member Boyle is absent. Board Member Allen.
Here.
Board Member Crockett.
Here.
Board Member Ayers.
Here.
Board Member Peterson.
Here.
Call this public hearing open. As part of today's agenda, we'll have a consent agenda. It will be read into the record and acted in one motion. These items will not be individually discussed. Board Member Crockett is going to go ahead and read that for us. So far, we have 2 items being pulled off consent for discussion or comment from the public, 3B and 4E. If anybody else has a comment to provide, we need your blue card ASAP. If you could designate which item and whether you wish to speak or have your comment read into the record.
And 4E would be 5A as well.
And 5A is a companion case that will also be pulled. All right, hearing none, we'll go forward. Board Member Crockett.
Thank you, Vice Chair Villanueva Salcedo. This is the consent agenda for Wednesday, June 8th, 2022. Item 2A, minutes from the May 25, 2022 Planning and Zoning Study Session and regular meeting. Item 3A, which is case ZON 22-00055 in District 1 within the 3,300 to 3,600 blocks of North Val Vista Drive, located south of Thomas Road on the east side of Val Vista Drive. This is a site plan review. This request will allow for a multiple residence development. The recommendation from staff is approval with conditions. Item 3B is pulled off the agenda, so we'll move ahead, off the consent agenda, rather. Agenda item 4A is case ZON 21-00793 in District 4 within the 450 blocks of West Holmes Avenue, located west of Country Club Drive and north of the US 60 Superstition Freeway. This is a rezone from limited commercial to multiple residence 4 with a planned area development overlay and site plan review. This request will allow for a multiple residence development. The staff recommendation is approval with conditions. Item 4B is case ZON 22-00023 in District 6 within the 10,100 to 10,600 blocks of East Williamsfield Road and within the 6,100 to 6,400 blocks of South 222nd Street, located east of Crisman Road, south of Williamsfield Road, and on the north side of the East 24 Gateway Freeway alignment. This is a major modification to the Avalon Crossing Plan Community District Community Plan. This will allow for a single residence development. This item, the staff recommendation on this item is to continue to the June 22nd, 2022 Planning and Zoning Board meeting. Item 4C is case ZON 22-00049 in District 6 within the 6,800 to 7,200 blocks of South Crisman Road and within the 10,000 to 10,400 blocks of East Pecos Road, located south of Pecos Road on the east side of Crisman Road. This is a site plan review and special use permit. This request will allow for an industrial development. The staff recommendation is approval with conditions. Item 4D is case ZON 22-00157 in District 5 within the 4,400 to 5,200 blocks of East McKellips Road within the 2,000 to 2,800 blocks of North Greenfield Road within the 4,400 to 5,200 blocks of East McDowell Road and within the 2,000 to 2,800 blocks of North Higley Road, located north of McKellips Road and east of Greenfield Road. This is an update to the Falcon Field design guidelines. This request will modify the existing design guidelines to guide future development at Falcon Field Airport. The staff recommendation is approval with conditions. Item 4E is off of the consent agenda. Item 4F is case ZON 22-00237 in District 1 within the 0 to 200 blocks of North Val Vista Drive, located north of Main Street on the west side of Val Vista Drive. This is a council use permit and site plan review. This request will allow for the development of a mini storage facility with RV and boat storage. The staff recommendation is approval with conditions. Item 4G is case ZON 22-00268 in District 6 within the 9200 to 9600 blocks of East Pecos Road and the 6400 to 6800 blocks of South Ellsworth, located north of Pecos Road and east of Ellsworth Road. This is a rezone from agricultural to light industrial with a planned area development overlay and a site plan review. This request will allow for an industrial development. The staff recommendation is approval with conditions. Item 4H is case ZON 22-00293 in District 6 within the 10,100 to 10,600 blocks of East Williamsfield Road and within the 6,100 to 6,400 blocks of South 222nd Street, located east of Crisman Road, south of Williamsfield Road, and on the north side of the East 24 Gateway Freeway alignment. This is a major modification to Development Unit Plan 2 of Avalon Crossing Planned Community District. This request will allow for a single residence development. The staff recommendation on this item is continued to the June 22nd, 2022 Planning and Zoning Board meeting. Agenda item 5A is a preliminary plat.
That's the companion case to 4.
Okay, that's the companion case to 4E, which I've already read. And then agenda item 5B is the Merritt Legacy Business Park. That is a companion case to item 4G, which I've read. And on both of those items, the staff recommendation is approval with conditions. Oh, I still need to read this?
5A is off consent.
Okay, so thank you. This is a team effort up here. So agenda item 5A is being taken off consent agenda.
Correct.
And agenda item 5B is the Merritt Legacy Business Park within the 9,200 to 9,600 blocks of East Pecos Road and the 6,400 to 6,800 blocks of South Ellsworth Road, located north of Pecos Road and east of Ellsworth Road. This is a preliminary plat. This request will allow for an industrial development. The staff recommendation here is approval with conditions, and that is the consent agenda.
Thank you, Board Member Crockett. Do I hear a motion?
I move to approve the consent agenda as read.
Second.
I would second that.
Please vote. Board Member Allen?
Yes.
Board Member Ayers?
Yes.
Consent agenda is approved unanimously with Chair Sarkisian and Board Member Boyle absent. We'll move now to case 3B, ZON 22-00257, District 6, within the 3,900 to 4,100 blocks of South Signal Butte Road and within the 3,900 to 4,100 blocks of South Binary Alignment, located south of Elliott Road on the west side of Signal Butte Road, site plan review. Staff recommendation is approval with conditions. We do have one comment card, someone who wished to speak. Is Ray Walter on the line?
Yes, I am.
Ray, we're going to
Yes, I am.
We're going to hear a presentation on the case, and then I'm going to turn to you. You will have 3 minutes. We'll just need to have your name and address for the record, okay? So stay tuned.
Surely. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board. You hear me? Okay. Okay. This is case ZON 22-00257. The request is for site plan review to allow a light industrial development within the Eastmark community. The location of the proposed project is south of Elliott Road on the west side of Signal Butte Road. On the immediate southwest corner of Elliott and Signal Butte is the existing Apple facility. This building would be, or these 6 buildings would be directly south of that facility. It's also located with just south of the Elliott Road Technology Corridor and within the Eastmark Technology Enterprise Core as identified in their community plan. This is a site photo looking at the property from Signal Butte, looking west from Signal Butte Road. The general plan on the property is mixed-use community. The focus for that is to develop a mixture of uses to create complete and identifiable communities. It includes the employment, industrial, office, and open space, recreational, and residential uses are all allowed within that. It's also within the Gateway Strategic Development Plan, identified as mixed-use community. The zoning on the property is PC, which is planned community. It's also in the airport overflight area 3. It's also located within development unit 6, north of the Eastmark community. The land use group that the applicant has selected for this property, which identifies uses for the property, is LUG-C, which is for Regional Center Campus. Within that LUG, light industrial uses are allowed, including light manufacturing warehouses and accessory office space, which is what is identified for this project. The Eastmark framework, just to give a general guideline of how it's set up for processing, the community plan establishes the overall vision for the community and the plan establishes planning processes, what the allowable land uses are, the development units get established through that. It includes infrastructure master plans and design guidelines, as well as some development standards. The development unit plan takes that a little bit further. It talks more about the context and the conceptual land planning, allocates land use budgets and the intensity for the uses, identifies permitted land use groups that can go into that development unit. Design guidelines and compatibility is also discussed in that. Then it breaks down further to site plans and subdivision plats, and it's identifying the land use group that they take from what's allowed in there and establish what their actual land use group is going to be, so their actual use of the property is established, and that has to be identified on their site plan, which it is as the LUG-C. So the site plan that's proposed, it's located on a parcel within a recorded subdivision plat that established this industrial lot. They're proposing 6 buildings, which total over 900,000 square feet of light industrial space. It has access from Signal Butte Road to the east, which is their primary access. There is secondary access to Binary, which is a future street to the west that will be required as part of this development, or the development to the west, which has recently been approved. If they go first, they would be the ones that get that street installed, so that this development would then have access to that as well. They've provided some additional common open space for employees on the property throughout to enhance that experience for those. These industrial projects can be intense, and it's important to have a place to escape for a little bit during the day, a little respite. So they've provided quite a number of those. Design review, the building design has been approved by the Design Review Committee for Eastmark. They don't go through the City of Mesa process for that. The community plan establishes that process as their own separate design review board committee, or design review committee. There's citizen participation on this. A letter was mailed to property owners within 1,000 feet and HOAs and registered neighborhoods within 1 mile. It was 458 neighbors that were notified. They had a Zoom meeting on May 3rd, and there were 11 neighbors that were in attendance. Some of the concerns that were listed were property values, duration of construction, dust control, traffic patterns, ingress, egress, hours of operation, and noise generation. I was able to attend that meeting and listen to the conversation, and the applicant was going to follow up with some of the residents that had some of those concerns on some of their questions. They did answer a lot of questions in that meeting and then did some follow-up. They did not provide any, they provided that they had not received anything after that. I did not receive any calls or concerns or letters, emails, anything like that regarding this case. So with that, the proposed project complies with the 2040 Mesa General Plan, with the Eastmark Community Plan, complies with Development Unit Plan for DU6 North, it meets the review criteria for site plan review as outlined in the East Mark Community Plan, and staff is recommending approval with conditions.
Thank you, Leslie. Any questions from the board? Is the applicant present? Did you wish to make any comments now or perhaps wait until after public comment?
We'll wait till after public comment. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Ray, are you still on the line? Ray, can you hear us? Ray Walter? You there, Ray? You could bear with us for a moment while we figure out.
Hello, I'm here. Do you hear me?
Oh, yes, we can hear you now, Ray. Ray, for the record, if you could please.
Okay, good.
If you could please state your name and your address, and you will have 3 minutes to state your concerns. Go ahead and go.
Okay, my name is Ray Walter. My address is 10927 East Rembrandt Avenue, Mesa, Arizona 85212. I am a neighbor citizen residing 500 feet from the subject property, and I did attend the Zoom meeting and did make some concerns known, although there wasn't follow-up that I'm aware of. I understand the mix of residential and employment opportunities and the East Mark Master Plan, and my concern is to preserve the residential aspects because we're right across the street. So those include the noise, traffic, dust and dirt, and of course the property values. The Planning Division staff reports recommends approval with conditions, and I would simply, as my comment card suggests, ask for these additional conditions. And number one is to have the normal residential quiet times from 10 p.m. until 7 a.m. apply to this property, and agree to for any businesses and occupants of the subject property from construction through full occupancy. Number two, to ensure that per the Mesa Transportation Review, the roadways and driveways must align the center line to center line, specifically at Rubin Avenue and the northernmost entrance to this property that's proposed. And three, to conduct a traffic study of the corner of South Signal Butte and East Rubin, because that's a very busy intersection. It's going to get more busy with trucks and other vehicles in and out of the subject property to determine if any traffic control measures are needed. As far as dust and dirt, I think that the city does have requirements with respect to mitigating any of the deleterious effects of those. So what I would just ask that we continue and keep those in mind. And the hours of operation have not been discussed at all. But I would say that because of the residential neighborhood right across the street, my hope is that there will not be traffic in and out and construction and work being done during normal quiet time. So again, my purpose is not to stop this property from moving forward. It's simply to have us address those, the noise, especially the traffic and dust and dirt. And whatever happens to property values, no one knows. No one can tell. So again, I don't oppose the project, but I would like the additional conditions to be noted as discussed. That's all.
Thank you very much, Ray. If the applicant would like to come up and maybe address some of those concerns, again, primarily dust, dirt, traffic study, hours of operation, quiet times.
Absolutely.
And if you could state your name and address for the record.
So this doesn't drop later. Right there. Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is Cassandra Ayers. I'm here from Barry Riddell, 6750 East Camelback Road on behalf of the applicant Dolphin Industrial. Give me just a second to start. Did I do that right? Ah, great. Okay. So this is I think this might be my first time appearing before you. My last name is Ayers, just clear up, no relation to Board Member Ayers, spelled differently. Just wanted to make sure that brought that up first. So I try not to reiterate everything that Leslie outlined for you folks, but I'll go through this very quickly. As she said, we are, by the way, forgot to mention our client representatives are here if there are any specific questions that come up today. And it's our pleasure to be here with you this afternoon to present the site plan for Dauphin Industrial. So as Leslie said, we are in Lug C of the Regional Center campus, and she showed you where the site was there. Lug C Regional Center campus does allow for warehouse uses. Our request is for site plan review only, and the site is already entitled for the use. This is not a rezoning case. 63 acres, 6 buildings with approximately 962,000 square feet of development. Here you can see the layout for the buildings. There are 6 of them. The buildings with lower height are oriented towards Signal Butte Road and get progressively higher up to a maximum height of approximately 52 feet, which allows for some architectural embellishments and screening as you get closer into the property, or farther into the property, excuse me. Here's just a closer up version of that site plan, so you can see how it aligns with as Leslie mentioned, the recently approved industrial project on the other side. As you can see, we also have substantial setbacks here for this project. We have approximately 100 feet of landscaping adjacent to Signal Butte. We have 165 feet of landscaping adjacent to Mesquite. And as I hope you can see, we also have some very generous separations between our project and the nearest residential neighbors. Over here in the southwest corner of the site, we have I think it's the disc golf that will be in there, and that's approximately 350 feet away from the nearest residential neighbor. And then we have as much as 1,400 feet to the south for the next property. Let's just show you some of the elevations for the project. You can see the various architectural embellishments and elements to break up some of that massing. It's an example of what a corner would look like with the signage. We did, as Leslie mentioned, sent mailers to residents within 1,000 feet for both letters, both the neighborhood meeting as well as the hearing notification. The same list for both. The neighborhood meeting was held virtually on May 3rd, and 11 people attended. We received and responded to several emails from neighbors following that meeting. And until this afternoon, staff had not received any opposition. So when we sent in this PowerPoint, staff had not received any opposition. And I believe, let me just make sure that I address the specific elements that Mr. Banker raised. I can address those right now. With regard to the residential quiet times, of course, our clients will comply with whatever noise ordinance and hours of operation for construction are required. Not a problem. Ensure that MESA per transportation review, the roadways or driveways must align. Let me go back to the site plan. You can see that our northern driveway does align with the road across the street to the east, and then our driveway to the south, also on Signal Butte, there's no road with which to align, but for that northern driveway, we certainly do. And then the last comment was conduct a traffic study at the corner of Signal Butte Road and Rubin Avenue to determine if traffic control measures are needed. The Eastmark transportation study was recently updated, and we don't believe that any traffic mitigation measures were recommended for this particular intersection, but these uses were taken into account when that traffic report, that traffic study was updated. And I think you brought up dust control as well. Of course, we'll comply with Maricopa County dust control measures during construction. I'll go to my thank you slide just to wrap it up if you have any questions.
Great, thank you for addressing each of those resident concerns. I appreciate it. Any additional questions or comments from the board? Crockett?
I do have a question for staff. And Leslie, with regard to the noise issue, is Is the noise ordinance separate and apart from the zoning requirements? And I mean, do you typically include as a condition that the applicant comply with the applicable noise ordinance, or is that simply part of the thing, all of the things the applicant has to comply with that are applicable within the city of Mesa?
Madam Chair, Board Member Crockett, there is a stipulation that they comply with all development codes or all city codes and regulations, which would include that. It is not part of the zoning ordinance.
Okay, and if you know, do you know how the request from Mr. Walter syncs up with the noise ordinance in terms of construction activities? I think he was looking for quiet time from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. Do you know if that
Board Member Crockett, I do not know the hours that are set for that, but we do hold all of our construction to that standard. So there's a lot going on out in that area. It's been
okay,
pretty
thank you.
common.
That's all the questions I had.
Okay, any other questions?
If I could add on to that, I think the construction times, the starting time is like 5 in the morning during the summertime and like 6 in the morning during the winter time, if I remember correctly. So that doesn't quite sync up with the 7 in the morning till 10 at night, but it's an hour or two off depending on the summer or the winter.
Thank you, Board Member Allen. Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
If I could go ahead and jump on in then. I would make a recommendation that we approve ZON 22-00257, District 6, within the 3900 to the 4100 block of South Signal Butte Road, within the 3900 to the 4100 blocks of South Binary Alignment, located south of Elliott on the west side of Signal Butte Road, the site plan review, along with a staff recommendation of approval with conditions. And then there's the companion case that goes with it, correct? No. Or is it by itself?
Not with this one.
Okay.
Thank you for your motion, Board Member Allen. Do I have a second?
I will
I'll second.
the motion.
If you could please cast your vote. Board Member Allen?
Yes.
Board Member Ayers?
Yep.
Case passes unanimously with Board Members Sarkisian and Boyle absent. Thank you very much, folks. We're going to move on to item 4E, ZON 22-00162, District 5, within the 9,900 to 10,000 blocks of East Brown Road, and within 1,000 to 1,200 blocks of North Crisman Road, located south of Brown Road and on the west side of Crisman Road, rezoned from agricultural to single residence 15, with a planned area development overlay and site plan review. The request will allow for a single residence development. Staff recommendation is approval with conditions, including those discussed at today's study session. There is a companion case 5A, Geneva Villas, within the 9,900 to 10,000 blocks of East Brown Road, and within the 1,000 to 1,200 blocks of North Crisman Road, located south of Brown Road on the west side of Crisman Road, preliminary plat. The request will allow for a single residence development. Staff recommendation is approval with conditions. Josh, you are up. After staff presentation, we'll go to 2 comments online. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So yes, this is for ZON 22-00162. This is for Geneva Villas. It is a site plan review as well as a associated annexation case and rezone. It is for the development of a single residence community. The subject site is located west of Crisman Road on the south side of East Brown. As I previously stated with the annexation, this is currently under Maricopa County jurisdiction. Here's the view of the site looking west from Crisman. As you can see on the west side of this photo, it's on the south side of the site. You can see some major power lines which do encumber the site. Currently, it is zoned RU43 as well as C3 within Maricopa County. With the annexation case 22-00161, the associated annexation case would get a comparable zoning to AG. And then from AG, the proposed rezone is from AG to RS15 with a planned area development overlay. Per the general plan designation, it is a neighborhood designation, which is to provide a safe place for people to live, which includes a variety of housing that includes single residents. Per the site plan, a total of 27 lots have been provided on this 8-acre site, and they have provided amenities that include a barbecue pavilion, dog run, as well as an expanded natural open space desert that is meant to preserve the existing desert space out there, and that is about 47% of the site. So it is more per the PAD, it is more of the open space than is typically required for that area and for a project of this density. Per the PAD request, in order to meet those open space requirements, they had to reduce the lot area as well as to address the SRP easement. Within that, they have reduced the lot area as well as the lot width and depth, as well as associated setbacks in order to meet that the building envelope as required per the desert upland standards. As well as because of the way that their product is designed, they also asked for a deviation for the garage front distance from the primary building front, just because of the way our code reads for how we measure the front setback. They can only provide 1 foot rather than the required 3. Here's the associated landscape plan. As part of it, they have tried to retain about 47 different plants on site. And as part of that, they've tried to incorporate the existing ocotillos as well as saguaros on site in order to maintain that natural desert look. They have been planted within that vegetative area along the SRP easement as well as within the open space throughout the site. Overall, the citizen participation letters were mailed out to property owners within 1,000 feet and HOAs and registered neighborhoods within a mile. There was a neighborhood meeting held on January 4th. 3 households for a total of 5 persons attended. They had general concerns about development. Typically with these annexation cases, there is an overall concern about neighboring properties being annexed as part of that as well. I will say this only affects the subject property and will only annex that portion. And further discussions for future annexations will have to come through at a later time. As well, since I've made this PowerPoint, I've had about 3 phone calls from concerned citizens in the area. One was the neighbor on the southwest side of the site. He has some concerns currently within the SRP easement. There's some illegal dumping taking place, so they wanted some way to prevent that from occurring. As we're speaking with the applicant, they're looking to do boulders that meet the intent of that natural open space, as well as helping to prevent that from occurring going forward. As well as the neighbors directly to the south. They just had some general interest in future annexations, in which I explained to them the process. But again, that would be through a future case, not through this case itself. As well as I had a phone call with David and Arceli Laurenti earlier today about some general concerns, general comments about what is occurring on site, things like density as well as lot sizing, things of that nature. So based off that, staff finds that the overall project complies with the 2040 general plan, criteria for Chapter 69 for site plan review, Chapter 22 for planned area development overlay, as well as criteria within Chapter 6, Section 5 of Title 9 for desert uplands development staff. Based off that, staff is recommending approval of conditions.
Thank you. Any questions from board members? Okay, is the applicant here? Would you like to make any comments or perhaps wait until after the citizens have commented? Second. Thank you very much. Joel Kaplan, are you on the line? Joel, can you hear us? Joel? Okay, we'll go back to Joel. If he is not on the line, we'll just read his name and address into the record. David Laurenti. David, are you on the line?
Good afternoon. Yes, I am.
Thank you, David. If you could state your name and address for the record, and then you will have 3 minutes.
Thank you. This is David Laurenti at 1218 North 101st Place, Mesa, Arizona, 85207. I'm within that 1,000 feet of the proposed building plan. Thank you. Forgive me for my ignorance, but we received 1 mailing on this, and spoke with Josh earlier today, as he stated earlier. Question about the zoning, and I saw the proposed planning. I see that the lot size is around 6,000 square feet, but the zoning was for an RS-15. So I don't understand that at all, but that's neither the case. My other concern was also about the traffic and the road conditions that are there. Our lane is going to be added, single lane both ways surrounding that property, both north, south, and east, west on it. And then just the congestion alone of such a use of land right there. I understand development. We were out here for many years. Mesa's going to grow. Understand that, but it seems like a lot to put into such a small area. I understand they're going to be developing or not developing the southern section due to the electrical and SRP easements there. But just wondering how this is all going to look and play out. Again, I'm not opposed to a development in there. It just seems a little bit awkward right now.
Thank you, David.
And yeah, that's all I have. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You bet. Thank you. Joel, are you on the line?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Thank you, Joel. If you could please state your name and address for the record, and you will have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Joel Kaplan, Kaplan. I'm at 9852 East Elmwood Street. And I'll make this even shorter than 3 minutes. I do have the same traffic concerns that the other gentleman had. This neighborhood in this one square block from 96th Street to Chrisman and one long block south to Elmwood to Brown is all single family dwellings, at least 1.5 acres. And that development would probably not fit. Second of all, the city has already tried an annexation one time with this whole group here, and they were turned down, so that's never going to happen. Third of all, the amount of revenue it's going to take from the city will never be recouped in 50 years from that one little development by itself. And most of all, interestingly enough, I don't see that they've ever done an electromagnetic survey for the overhead power lines. I am very familiar with that, and I don't want to expand because I'll be on the phone for an hour. But that is pretty important. And if you don't do that, you might have some electromagnetic problems. Normally, what happens is you have to pay to have those lines buried under the ground instead of having them remain overhead. So that should be a serious concern to anybody who decides to purchase a home there, if this should be included. So the main thing really is that non-annexation is never going to happen, and the city is going to lose money, and the traffic is going to be ridiculous, and it really ruins the integrity of this whole square block. And with that, I will thank you for listening to me.
Thank you very much, Joel. Appreciate you chiming in today. If the applicant would like to come up and maybe address some of the specific concerns regarding traffic, zoning, and if you are aware of any electromagnetic requirements before building here. And we'll just preface it with saying that I think all realize annexation is not within the purview of this board.
All right, thank you very much, Chairperson and board members. Appreciate it. My name is Sean Lake, 1744 South Val Vista, here on behalf of Brighton Homes, Jaron Sweeney, who's here with me this evening. They are a local family home builder in the city of Mesa, and they've been here building homes in Mesa for quite a few years, and we welcome them and are glad to keep them into the community. They've done several projects here in Mesa as well. Let me jump straight to the points. First off, this rezoning, as Josh had pointed out, is to rezone from C3 County, Maricopa County C3, down zoning to a residential category. And so as far as traffic goes, for the development, what is currently zoned here today versus what we're proposing would generate significantly less traffic than a C3 development would. C3 would be things like a fast food restaurant or auto sales or a storage facility or various different type of commercial operations. But we don't think that's viable here at this location. We think this is more of a residential area, as the neighbors pointed out, and so that's why we think the zoning is appropriate here. We will be doing off-site improvements associated with this development to both Brown and Chrisman Road, and we'll be working with the city's transportation department to make sure those roadway improvements are done. This site has access to Brown, which is an arterial road in the city of Mesa, and also Chrisman, which is an arterial road in the city of Mesa. So from a traffic standpoint, will not generate a substantial amount of traffic in comparison to the capacity of both of those arterial roadways. And so we think we have excellent opportunity to disperse traffic into an arterial, and that will then go into areas. We've also had the plan circulated to the transportation department at the city of Mesa, and they've determined there is not an issue with that. Let's see. EMC study. We have not done an EMC study. We have not done one. These are the large power lines that run across the city. A lot of us have lived behind them in the past. I have spoken with SRP in the past about that issue. I think we'll say there's different opinions on that, and I think I'll leave it at that as far as the EMC study. But you will notice as far as the zoning that almost 40% of this site is going to remain vacant on that south side, and so we've consolidated the homes up to the north, up along Brown Road, and that's where the homes will be, and then the south half of the site will remain natural desert, and that's where Josh brought up the rock idea, because we did speak with some neighbors and work with the neighbors, because there's a big dumping problem on this site. We recognize that. We don't want to have our HOA to have endless problems with dumping in that natural open space. And so we're working to kind of try to close that off to address some of those neighbors' concerns. The idea that we're talking about is boulders. It fits in, but it also blocks cars. And it's easier to work with SRP to do that in their easement area, because they're not the easiest jurisdiction to deal with. So we're hoping to address everybody's comments. We've tried to address as many as we could. We think this is going to be an outstanding development, and we're glad to have a local home builder here doing these single-family detached homes for sale for people that want to live in the city of Mesa. So we welcome that. Thank you. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Lake. Any questions for the applicant? Jeff?
Thank you, Vice Chair. Sean, with regard to the dumping issue, is that on land that's owned by your client, or is that within the SRP easement, or both?
It is on land that my client, Brighton Homes, is purchasing from the existing property owner. There is an SRP easement and the vacant land that it's being dumped on, quite frankly.
And with regard to the SRP easement, isn't SRP responsible for keeping that clean, or who's responsible for cleaning up the SRP easement area?
Property owner?
I think largely if it is to be, it's up to me, the property owner. And that's kind of I'm going to stick with that.
And just last question, with this new development, do you expect that would just naturally help the issue of dumping, because now there's going to be homes right there and people watching and paying attention?
Absolutely. You will have a homeowners association that will be directly to the north that will have eyes on that area. We will also have installed some type of barrier to stop that. And so if perchance something happens, because there's all kinds of creative people out there, the HOA will have eyes on the street, and then the HOA will have a responsibility to help. Again, if it is to be up to me, they'll clean it up.
Okay, thank you for that.
Any other questions or comments for the applicant? Okay,
thank you very much.
Mr. Lake, appreciate it. I'll entertain a motion. Or any other points of discussion, comments? Board Member Allen?
I was going to go ahead and make a motion if you're ready.
Whoever makes that motion, that there's both a revised site plan and a revised condition of approval.
Did you catch that, Board Member Allen?
I think you might need to remind me again, but I think I got it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, let's give this a shot. I would recommend that we approve ZON 22-00162, District 5, within the 9,900 to 1,000 blocks of East Brown Road, and within the 1,000 to 1,200 blocks of North Chrisman Road on the west side, located south of Brown Road and on the west side of Chrisman Road, rezoned from agricultural AG to single residence 15 with a planned area development, RS-15-PAD, and site plan review. This request will allow for single residence development. The staff recommendation is approval with conditions, and I'll go ahead and make those corrections after I do the second one, if that's okay.
If you could just
go ahead.
Go ahead, Board Member Allen.
Okay. I would also recommend that we approve Geneva Villas within the 9,900 to 10,000 blocks of East Brown Road on the south side, and within the 1,000 to 1,200 blocks of North Chrisman Road on the west side, located south of Brown Road on the west side of Chrisman Road, a preliminary plat. This request allows for a single residence development. And again, staff recommendation is approval with conditions. And one things that we talked about downstairs was the corrected site plan, and then also the amended conditions of approval.
Thank you very much, Board Member Allen. Is that sufficient?
So I just would make the motion to approve both of those cases with the amended conditions and the amended site plan, if you could, Board Member Allen.
I would like to make a recommendation that we approve both of those previously read cases with the amended site plan submitted, and also with the amended approval of conditions.
Thank you very much. Do I have a second?
Second.
If you could please cast your vote. Board Member Allen?
Yes.
Board Member Ayers?
Yes.
Both cases passed unanimously with Board Members Sarkisian and Boyle absent. Any other items from our planning staff today?
No other items, Chair.
Thank you very much. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Second?
I'll second.
Second.
If you could please cast your vote. Board Member Allen?
Yes.
Board Member Ayers?
Yes.
Great. Thank you, everyone. We will see you on June 22nd.
We won't see you.
Thank you.
Not me, but you're going to be